Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back with me, my buddy EJ, Couch to Crit Master. How you doing, buddy?
Dude, so good to be here back again with another Alviso. Dude, I love these Tuesday practice crits, man. They're seriously so much fun. Worth the 2-hour drive every time for me.
They're the best, man. They're the best because not a whole lot of racing on the calendar right now. We got big events coming, but this is what we got, and it's getting more and more competitive thanks to you guys on Velo Kings coming out.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah, dude. Stoked. So today, EJ's racing for the first time in kit with Velo Kings, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, this was, I mean, we're recording this in the future now, but but this was the first time you were in kit with Velo Kings. So you came out with Mark Tucker, right?
Yeah, who's an absolute hitter. I mean, we're going to talk more about him in this video, but I had good company on my team, to say the least.
Yeah, so I had my work cut out for me because I knew you guys were going to 2v1 me, my beloved Alviso, and I was curious to see how you guys were going to play it. Mark's more of a breakaway rider. He won, I think it was the week before this Alviso, maybe 2 weeks before this Alviso solo mission by Mark. So I wasn't going to let him get away, but also, like, God, 2 versus 1, and you have a powerful sprint. It's a vicious combo. Let's dive into the race footage, see how I manage. And the first mistake by me is letting this gap go between my wheel and Mark's wheel with the look back. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he sees I was just a few bike lengths back, but look how consequential that is. And I can't let Mark get away. Like I said, he won solo a couple weeks ago. I have to close this down immediately. What is EJ doing? Let's pop over to your perspective. EJ smashing watts, bro. Like more than I did. I think I did, what was that, like around 900? You were up closer to 1,400. Ouch.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to see this a little bit more in this race. A little bit of hindsight being 20/20 as always. Shout out that little
It took you
catchphrase.
all of like 2 minutes to say hindsight is 20/20.
I know. This is a tough race. I think we'll dive more into it, like I said, but I just got a little bit confused kind of executing our strategy. And, like, what should I have done there, right? Like, let someone else close that gap, right?
Absolutely. Like the point of Mark going off the front like that is to punish me. I mean, he looked back to see, he wasn't seeing where you were. He was seeing where I was. He's like, oh, Jeff's out of position. Send it. And it hurts me because I have to follow Mark. Like I said, Mark is a big threat for solo move off the front. So I cannot let him roll away. I have to respond to this. You don't have to respond to this, right? It's a teammate.
Yeah.
So
I should have just followed other people's wheels. Yeah.
Let other people do it. Yeah. And we'll get more into it in a little bit. But, like, if the situation arises where, like, I'm up the road with Mark, I mean, I'd be curious to see what Mark would do. And I think we might if you guys stay tuned later on in this video. But then it's in a position where it's like you guys are represented, you as the sprinter, EJ, back in the field, and then Mark as the breakaway rider in the breakaway. That's the situation you want. You don't want to be chasing back your teammate Mark, right? Rule number 1, don't chase teammates. So anyway, let's fast forward a little bit more and see how the rest of this race plays out. And for that reason, from this point on, I was basically Mark's shadow because I know he's very aware of where I'm at, what I'm doing, and like right here, for example, he's gonna send it again. And if I'm like 2 or 3 bike lengths behind him, I mean, look, I was up at 1,300 watts and I was pretty much in his draft when he went. So that's what makes this really hard. If we look back at EJ, what's EJ doing? The same thing. Like, ouch, EJ about the same amount of power as me, maybe even more because it took you a bit longer to get back into my draft. Do you remember this? Into the headwind, too.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember it. I was not necessarily seeing cross that, but, like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just didn't really fully comprehend what the strategy was. Obviously, looking back at it now, I think best case scenario, you guys get away and I'm just following wheels. Like, I could be back mid-pack and let other people cover that for me, right? Like,
just like the last one, exactly, because part of the reason that he's doing this is to soften me up, right? As a field sprinter myself, Mark wants to soften me up to give you a competitive advantage should it come to a sprint. The other reason, though, is to make sure you're protected because I have to respond to Mark's thing. You don't. So if I were you, I would just sit back in the wheels and get that delicious, juicy draft that is offered by the whole peloton. Meanwhile, I'm trying to get a draft from Mark. The dude is so aero, you guys. I swear when I'm riding behind him, we're going to talk more about this in a little bit, there is no draft behind him. This is why he's such a good breakaway rider. Let's fast forward a bit and see what else happens. But actually, we don't have to fast forward at all because Mark is going to send it again. And EJ, what's going on here?
I mean, yeah, I was trying to anticipate your attack. It looks like I'm chasing my teammate, but I've learned that enough. You've literally branded that on my left ass cheek. So I know not to do that. But I was trying to anticipate your like, your cover a little bit more so it didn't hurt quite as much, but not really mission accomplished. I was just kind of out in the wind just eating wind and doing a bunch of power anyway. So.
Right. No, you hit the nail on the head. I was going to say, I like the idea that, okay, I'm anticipating Jeff to mark my teammate. I'm going to jump in his draft. But, like, it kind of backfired for you because, like you said, you spent a lot of time out in the wind at, like, 800 watts. And now another breakaway goes, and this is great news for me because you guys are forced to respawn. And, in fact, Mark does respawn. The only mistake I make here is I am not Mark's shadow. I said it before. You put a couple of bike lengths between you and Mark, and all of a sudden this happens. And good job, EJ, by the way, for filling in that gap and then putting on the wind brakes, so to speak, like letting that gap open up.
I will say, I did do that on purpose, tried to get in front of you a little bit and just see if you would slot my draft and then kind of just like stand up a little bit and make you cover that one. But then again, I kind of undid it by following you. Like I should have sat back, like I think we're going to beat a dead horse with that throughout
sure,
this
but
video.
this one was better because you were in my draft while I'm making the power. That's the combination you want. If you're like chasing me as I'm chasing your teammate, that's not good, right? That's not the point of this, of what you and your teammate Mark are doing. What you want to be doing is you can be in my draft or in somebody else's draft while I'm doing the effort, right? It's that delta between what's the amount of work Jeff is doing versus what's the amount of work EJ is doing. Because if I'm soft for the field sprint, dude, the truth is, I don't even need to be soft for the field sprint. Homie makes 1,750 watts, you guys. Did you know that? By the time this comes out, I mean, we've already done content on like your sprint numbers. It was in one of your daily vlogs. Shout out second channel. So you make tons of power, but you use a lot of it unnecessarily, and that's the missing puzzle piece here. Yeah, for you to because the power numbers are like national level power numbers, right? It's insane. Like, I think you can win enormous races, but you got to figure out this last piece, and that's positioning, timing, and all of that. So that's what we're working on. That's the point of all this.
For sure. And it's starting to click a little bit. Like, definitely, there'll be videos coming up on the channel, like we said this a couple weeks ago, where it's starting to come around. So please cut me some slack in the comments, guys. But yeah, I mean, it's just that one last piece, and hopefully it clicks, dude. I'm excited.
We'll get there. But look at the position now. I'm on Mark's wheel. You're on my wheel. Mark attacks.
Sends it, dude.
All is right in the universe. And if we look back, like, it hurt me for sure. But if we look back at EJ, oh my God, Watts back there with EJ, dude. You don't need. I mean, we're beating a dead horse here, but I think it's just worth showing it again because it's impressive the amount of power you're making, dude. Like, you made so much. You could power a toaster, I think, with those numbers, and it's certainly way more than I was making because I was in your teammate's wheel. In fact, I was fine with you being solo when you kind of kept rolling until I saw Matt go because you solo off the front. Yeah, it's a bit intimidating, but you're out there wasting energy. I think you're going to get brought back with this much distance to go, still over 11 kilometers. But you notice when Matt goes there, I have to respawn. And I waited for the tailwind because look what I did. I did the impossible, EJ. I dropped Mark for once. I didn't think he was droppable, but he started all these shenanigans. So I get up here now, and I'm tired, guys. 175 beats per minute. And this is a good situation for me because I want to take you away from your teammate. Right, EJ? And when I see Blaine go, it's like, this is even better news for me because it's like, hey, God, okay, dude. Velo Kings, go for it. Yeah. Okay, all right, EJ, you've dug yourself this hole. Keep digging, bro. So I'm just going to sit on your wheel. Let those guys ride. That's totally fine with me. When you come out with a teammate, you have somewhat of an obligation to respond to this stuff. And then there he goes. He's
back.
Forgotten but not gone, and he's back. Yeah, he absolutely sends it here. If we look over at EJ's camera, more chasing, EJ. Knock it off, dude. All back together, EJ. I'm on Mark's wheel. EJ, you're on my wheel. And we turn this corner, and Mark launches another vicious attack. I'm having deja vu. Did we just... It's the same exact part of the course, right? This is the same exact thing. I promise, guys, this is the next lap. But here's the big difference. EJ, you finally were like, chill, okay? I'm going to let other people chase this. Good call. Good move. Did you feel... Like you weren't tired because you don't get tired, right?
Stop. You're gonna make me sound like a douche. But like, no, I really wasn't tired. I just like, I don't know. I guess I was just a little bit confused with the strategy part. Like this was my first time racing with just one other teammate and doing this strategy. Like I had raced the weekend before with the Velo Kings, but the strategy was completely different. Like they told me, if you guys want to watch those videos on the second channel, they're up, and we're going to make videos about it in the next couple days on this channel. But the strategy was very simple. EJ sit in, EJ do no work, right? For me, right. for my little pea brain, that's easy to understand. Here it was a little bit more complex just having two of us. And I just didn't really quite grasp, what Mark had talked to me about strategy before. So my thought was like, do I try to get in the break with them, like 2 against 1 Jeff in the break, or like do I, I don't know. I was just kind of a little bit of a cluster in my own head about what was going on,
Yeah, it's more complicated the fewer teammates you have, believe it or not, because you have to wear more hats. There's more nuance in the strategy. And speaking of which, if you guys noticed what's going on right now, we're in a breakaway. I'm in a breakaway with Mark, and this is interesting because I asked him. He flicked me through to take a poll, and I was like, "Are you gonna work with me?" And he said, "Yeah." So I took a short poll, and I tested his word because he could lie to me. All right, all is fair in bike racing and war. I think that's the expression. And he honored his word, and he's polling, and he's like actually rotating hard. He seems very motivated. He's using a lot of energy. I was curious. Maybe Mark can let us know down in the comments. What was the plan here? Because this went on for the next several laps of this race. He continued taking poles that were longer and faster. I continued taking shorter and softer poles because the one thing in my position here, now being off the front with a sizable gap on the field with your teammate Mark, my only concern is I cannot let Mark get away. Like, that's it. I don't need to go any faster than it takes to stay away from the field, and I have to save as much energy as I can, both to beat Mark in the sprint. He's not a sprinter. I'm okay with that feat, but he's going to try to do something because he's not just going to drag me to the line. Meanwhile, EJ, if we go back to your race footage, what are you doing? Because what I would be doing is sitting back, chilling, like mid-pack, maybe even back third, watching things, following things if it's convenient. But, dude, EJ, you were absolutely killing yourself back there, marking these attacks. And you don't need to be this close to the front, right?
For sure. But let me just explain my thought, even though it's wrong, okay? So people can understand what goes through the pea brain. I was worried if someone like Matt got across to you guys, that then Mark wouldn't have the option to just pull the plug on the brake and drop back. Like, I don't know. Is that a dumb thought? Like, because then you and Matt can work together.
It's the position that's wrong. That's not a dumb thought. Like, follow. That's why I said follow if convenient. And follow, and really the longer version of that, follow if convenient and depending on who it is. Matt's a demonstrated breakaway rider who's very strong, so that's somebody you got to follow. But when he goes right here, like, you are so out of position. He comes screaming past you. You end up having to punch like 1,450 watts. Ouch. To respond to it. And not only is it a 1,450 watt spike, now you're also, on the horse, like still making huge power to chase him back. And then that's not where the story ends, dude. You mark this one by Donald, another quadruple digit effort. You mark another one. And then if we contrast what you're doing back there in the field with what I'm doing up here with Mark, it's like, I don't think I ever spiked it up over 400 watts. We are just consistent. Like, it's hard, don't get me wrong, but consistency is efficiency, right? Like, the contrast between what I'm doing and what you're doing, this is the reason why I normalized 350 watts in this race, and you normalized 420 watts in this race, guys.
Okay,
no
419.
Oh, 419. Sorry.
Come on, calm down. It wasn't that bad, dude.
419 watts in this race, which is like counterintuitive because you're the one I'm supposed to be doing 420 chasing Mark around, and you're supposed to be doing 350 sitting back in the draft. That's the whole point of good teamwork. So there's a lot to be learned. I'm glad that you're seeing this as like, this is not the best way of doing things.
Yeah,
I don't know
definitely.
how to sugarcoat that, but yeah, I mean, the power speaks for itself and the result speaks for itself. So speaking of results, let's fast forward and see how the end of this race plays out. So eventually we get caught and the field is just in pieces. Like, look at it. People aren't able to hold the wheel. And here's the thing. We're on the last lap, you guys. This is just outside of 2 kilometers to go. There's no time to mess around. I have to close this gap, but people are so tired. This was a hard freaking race. I don't have to ask you if it was hard, EJ. You'd normalized 419 watts. This was a very hard race. And you can see now the field is like, well, we started with whatever 30 or 40 riders probably. We're down to like 7. That's how hard of a day it was. It wasn't even particularly windy today. It was like the normal Alviso wind.
I just think Mark made it hard to be like, dude.
Yeah.
He's a hitter to say.
He's a hitter. Yeah, I think we averaged about 28 miles an hour, something like that, in this race, which is slightly faster than normal at Alviso. When it gets hotter, it gets a little bit faster. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, EJ. We are 1,600 meters to go. We're getting to the end of this race. I am your freaking shadow here because you're clearly a classy sprinter who makes all sorts of watts, 1,750 like we already talked about, and I just have to make sure that I'm going to save every last drop of energy because I know you've done a lot of work to this point. I've been watching. I know it's easier said now in hindsight because hindsight is 2020, right?
2020, baby.
But definitely I know you've been doing a lot of work. This attack right here by Matt is, dude, amazing. Amazing.
That's
and
best case scenario for you, yeah?
For me, 100%. Because I know now you guys are going to have to chase that back. And you can see that I'm still feeling it in the legs a little bit. I probably should. This was a risky move, letting this one rider go in between us. But I know Donald's strong. He's going to stitch it back up. But Mark now, if we jump over to EJ's perspective, Mark is bringing you up to this attack by Matt. By the way, if Matt was my teammate, this is exactly what I would want him to do, is send it on the last lap. If you get away solo and win, awesome. If not, I'm going to be sitting back in the draft and saving energy. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. EJ, what you should have been doing this entire race. And then you just go. What's going on here, EJ?
Dude, I just completely blunder, to be honest. I don't know. I was kind of brain dead.
Were you thinking I'm gonna ride away solo into the sunset for the victory here?
No, I guess I don't know. Like, Mark told me to go, but I think he was telling me to like go with Matt's wheel. I just only heard go.
Because you're going all right. Like, yeah. You're not. This should be you should be doing 150 watts right now. Like,
yeah,
with your
we should
strength,
just be cat and mousing, right?
Yeah, your strength is your sprint. Like, why are you wasting energy, dude? I'm tired and I'm in the draft, but I'm licking my chops because I'm like, oh, EJ's gonna lead me out. Thank you very much. This looks fantastic. And when we're about 200 meters to go, I stand up. I'm about to pass. I start to come around Donald on the left, and I shut her down. Didn't want to run into the back of that box truck. What a shame, man. I really wanted to beat you because I'm competitive. But Alviso giveth and Alviso taketh away. And technically,
so after all that,
across the line.
Hold on. So after all that, listen, guys, I beat Jeff. I mean, it's on a technicality, but with a little asterisk, I crossed the line
I don't
first.
know. Let us know in the comments who actually won that race. I'll give it to you. You crossed the finish line first. And you paid that box truck driver $100 bill to get in my way at the very end. No, we kid. But I think I had your number there, EJ. But who knows for sure? Tell you, why don't we do a rematch next week? What do you think?
Dude, I'm down. I might have to bring reinforcements though. I think you had me on lock.
All right, so get subscribed if you guys want to check out next week's Alviso and plenty more content in the pipeline. EJ, great having you on, man.